with hearing impairment failed the PLA exam last year. And one of the reasons was about funding. And it is continuing to be the same. We lack special needs school. Government committed to construct some special needs school for those who cannot go in these inclusive schools. But time and again, that thing has not been addressed. I pray that the budget for special needs be increased for this financial year.
Thank you. Rokwang for Karamoja.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, Article 36 of the Constitution talks about the minority groups. And Article 32 talks about the marginalized communities. I am here on affirmative action that the communities that I represent, like the Batwa, like the Bennett, the Tepeth, the Ik, are not benefiting from these affirmative action programs. For example, the scholarships that they are given, I have never seen any Bennett or a Tepeth or a Batwa getting a scholarship, special scholarship. Then the other issue on the issue of the schools. When you go to IK, for example, Mr. Speaker, I have 5 primary schools. 3 are community schools, and they stop in P4. And I have only 2 government-aided schools, and we don't benefit even from these grants. Now, where is the affirmative action? Are we implementing Article 32 of the Constitution? So we need also to be taken into consideration. We need to be captured in the budget that one day this House will also approve some money for affirmative action, marginalized. I'm not about the minorities, even women, even the disabled, and other groups that are not captured. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Chemonges for Sebei.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. First of all, I want to thank the committee for coming up with this report. However, the report is not comprehensive in the way that we have not considered traditional schools properly, because I have seen all the 15 billion allocated to traditional schools, and all of us members have got very old schools which have no structures, but teachers are earning. But when they have nowhere to, when they have no structures, for example, I have about 3 town councils without schools, and one have a very old school, but teachers are earning salaries. Then another issue which is serious is on the loan schemes. This one we can all agree as members that the loan scheme is not doing us any favor in the country, because when you look at the names that come are actual names of people who are able to pay for their school fees in the universities. Me, in the last quarter, the last list that came out, the entire Queen, I even went ahead to look at the entire survey. The entire survey, I think, benefited with only 10, actually 5. The whole survey. And it was really shocking. And finally, I managed to move around our UBE schools last week. I got shocked, even as we planned that we are really improving education. We are not doing it. When you go to the UBE schools, there is no funds for exams in primary schools. There is even no cup of porridge to any child there. There is completely.
Thank you. Kwizera for Kigezi.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. I want to thank the committee for the work that they have done. Honorable members, I don't see when the population of the country is growing and when the number of children going to school are growing, and then you cut down the budget. This one means there is economic and social sabotage. Education budget should be regarded even more than defense, because without education, you cannot get good army. So we need a good army who are well schooled. Secondly, the people they treat education in public schools. These people are undermining public education for private schools because these private schools are owned by many people in government. So we should look at the reasons why education cannot be well funded. Another issue, Mr. Speaker, is the standardization of education. We have a number of universities, but you look at the employability of the graduates. We need to put more money in the standards of education and the specific standards for our graduates. Because in this region, you may not recruit your graduates from other universities. You may find it is only Makerere, Chambogo, Nkozi, KIU. So you find that we have no standards kept at education because of poor budgeting. Another issue is that I would want to thank the President for recognizing the poverty sorrow to establish a public university there or institute because the increases on human capital development. Investing in education means you are investing in human capital, and we should be importing people, and they will be inflow of foreign capital from Rwanda, from Burundi, because of the institute called John Kale Institute of Education. I thank you very much.
Thank you. Koyochenga for Ankore.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I also want to thank the Chair of the Education Committee for the report, but I have a few things that I noted. Right Honorable Speaker, the issue of understaffing of seed schools and government-aided schools. If you look at the report and what they gave us, they showed us that there is a gap of 43% understaffing. And of course, this is very, very, very bad because government has put in money to build some of the seed schools and put in money in some other schools, but those schools, you go there and there are no teachers. Children are just loitering around and they are not studying, in other words. So and when you try to inquire, the district will tell you about the wage bill at the district. They cannot recruit teachers because there is no money. Right Honorable Speaker, I think we need to do something about that, and maybe we add more money. Right Honorable Speaker, another issue that I looked at is the issue of 8 billion located to start the renovation of Makerere halls. Right Honorable Speaker, this is a mockery. 8 billion is too small. For those people who know Makerere, who have been in Makerere, when you go there and look at those halls, you feel like crying. 8 billion is nothing. We need more money to work on those, to renovate our halls so that our...
Thank you. Babunji for Renzori.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. I would also add my voice to thank the committee for the report. But my comment is about salary enhancement for all the teachers. I support there should be equality in salary enhancement. Right Honorable Speaker, we have a scenario where some of the head teachers are also teaching sciences. A school like Simbia Secondary School in my district, we have a head teacher who is teaching chemistry and math, but they were not considered on this science teachers enhancement. You find a teacher is earning more than a head teacher. So how is the school going to be run when some of the teachers are being paid highly than the supervisors? Then also there is a scenario of the rehabilitation of the old schools. This should be done, I think, in all the districts. There should be a thorough check. This same school, there is a structure which was, there is a class in the same school, the roof was blown off. I personally wrote to OPM's office asking for iron sheets. I was not given the answers. But we all know where the answers ended. When we have such structures in a sorry state in some of the schools. So I support the rehabilitation of some of the schools, the old schools, which really are in a sorry state. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Asaba for Toro.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity given. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the Committee for Education for the report. Right Honourable Speaker, I have a very serious concern in my constituency, and I think in other areas. Right Honourable Speaker, in my constituency, I have a technical school that was pledged by the President to be constructed. After the pledge, the Army came and started the construction. But after roofing, they abandoned the site. It's now almost 4 years. I have moved in the Ministry of Education, and the last time I went there, they promised that in this budget it would be considered. But when I'm looking through the report, I'm not seeing River Muzizi Technical School in Chaka North. It is not put anywhere, and I'm really afraid for that area. Second, Right Honourable Speaker, we have secondary schools. People are talking of secondary schools, but in my constituency, I have 5 sub-counties without secondary schools. One time, Right Honourable Speaker even approached in my area and saw one secondary school, which is Gogo Secondary School, around 48 kilometers from where it is located to the nearest secondary school. You helped me also to write, Right Honourable Speaker, to the Ministry of Education. I followed up by writing, but up to now, nothing has been done, and it is not also reflected. I honorably request, Right Honourable Speaker, that in this budget, let us really cut here and there and support the education sector. Otherwise, if we don't support the education sector, we shall be in danger. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Max Ochai for Buked.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker, for this opportunity. And I want to thank the Committee of Education for the reports presented to us. I want to agree with the submissions so far made, but I want to add one thing. That is supporting the sector, particularly the tertiary education subsector. Mr. Speaker, sir, Toro District is a home to a faculty of science and education. The people of West Budama North constituency and of Toro District at large have actually been advocating for upgrade of that faculty to a university level. However, I wish, as we support the tertiary education subsector, that we consider upgrading Nagongara campus from the Faculty of Science and Education to a fully fledged university. That will go down well for us. I thank you.
Thank you. Lango.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker, for giving me this
Rango, then Teso.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, thank you. Education, Mr. Speaker, is the driver for all sectors that we are talking about in this budget. But allow me to address my concern, first of all, to the students' loan scheme, Mr. Speaker, where this loan scheme is supposed to benefit the children of the poor, and who are the majority. Mr. Speaker, it's very unfortunate that the Ministry of Finance only gives money in first year. Some of these students are even doing science courses, and they need money to be supported. And if we don't support them, that means that we shall be having even school dropout at the university level. At the moment, we are grappling with school dropouts in primary level, and it will really be so sad, Mr. Speaker. Secondly, allow me to talk on the issue of the public universities. There is a big problem, but I want to address myself to Lira University. We have many students, we are doing so well, but the issue of funding. Mr. Speaker, the medical school in Lira University needs additional 12.6 billion, and I want to support the committee on this. And also, I was reading the issue of the staffing level in this public university. It's not mentioned by the committee, but Lira University has only 27%, Mr. Speaker. And I think it's a high time that if we have students, it should be matched by the level of the staff to lecture them. Then finally, the issue of curriculum.
Thank you. No, I would want an ordinary member. It's a minister, you sit in cabinet, and but since I failed to get an ordinary member from Teso, I'll pick the minister, Echweru. I really, because you know the regions which have not
I want to thank you,
I was trying
Speaker.
to delay.
Thank you for your flexibility.
You're a member of the committee.
Mr. Speaker, I first want to thank the chair of this committee for, Mr. Speaker, my request to the committee and the ministry, my colleagues, is that last financial year, they had allocated resources for rehabilitation of some traditional schools. And unfortunately, because of, I think, procurement challenges, they did not implement that. And Teso College, for example, is one such a school. I did go with the Honorable Gwang, Minister of State, to launch, but that there were still some issues to be resolved. My prayer is that that resource is ring-fenced so that we don't really abandon those traditional schools in as far as rehabilitation is concerned. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable colleagues. Honorable colleagues, I want to thank the chair and the team and your contributions. Of course, there are issues which are very unique to the education sector, which I've seen by policy, it would be gravely affected. For example, travel abroad. Now, if you remove travel abroad for like universities, when they have external examiners, how would they work? When we are not funding research, universities travel, meeting different agencies. For example, like you find the university has a budget of research of $100 million. That involves engaging stakeholders, because the money we are giving to research is extremely so small. So, Honourable Minister, I think you said case by case basis. We hope the education sector is given serious attention. Two, National Council for Higher Education. Now, if you want degrees of universities to be recognized globally, to be considered that they are very important, we must have curriculums which are approved. We must have universities that are well assessed. But now we are increasing the number of universities without increasing funding for National Council for Education that is able to give reports. So you find they have a huge backlog. And that backlog, it means universities are going to be teaching courses which are not approved because the council is not well facilitated to recruit staff to go do assessments and approve. So how are we going to be assessed globally? So it means our universities are going to be affected in terms of ranking. Once they are affected, we shall not attract good research funding. That's number one. Number two, our people won't be competitive in terms of international jobs, even locally, by the way. And number three, even research. You know, all this will be clear affected. So National Council, I know their issue. I was in the higher education sector. They need very, very critical affirmative action, Honourable Minister. They don't even have computers. These are universities that are employing very strong softwares, and you have a regulator who is lame duck because of lack of financing. Even the money we brought for this financial year, Honourable Minister, kindly intervene. They need, I think they needed like 1 billion for the computers and all that to be able to assess, to be able, but they are not able. So, Honourable Minister, please, we request you take intervention. In this era, we still have a university that has asbestos roofs. Really? After they have been declared cancer, causing cancer? Just a roof? a roof? Really? We have a university which has asbestos, and we are sending there our children to go and get cancer? And do we want Professor Katunguka to sell his animals, to sell whatever he has and roof a university? In the end, we shall be blaming these universities, these institutions. But what do you want the administration to do if we can't provide money for roofing? Then, colleagues, there's something which generally I want to assign to the committee to look at, and the minister. The issue of these job forms, the cost. It's very painful. I got a very painful experience in my constituency. I have come to discover many children from poor schools are not able to fill these forms. They cannot afford because of the cost. And a very good example, some of you have come to my constituency. I have a part which neighbors the national park. One of the areas more or less forgotten, Honorable Chwer went there, and he was, they call it even Congo. Now, in this area, the students who study, some of them, they study thinking, I can only qualify to go to maybe a primary school, I can qualify to go to teach. That's all we know. They don't have high hopes. So, but these last exams, the only school that has A level in the area, I think they had around 7 students or what, I can't remember very well. We got one student who is partially blind, couldn't use your braille and what machines, but managed to squeeze through. He scored aggregate 20. The student had not filled Punjab, so cannot qualify for government. Another lady whose process of education I cannot narrate here got 19 points, had not filled Punjab. Reason being, cannot afford. So, whom are we educating at the university? We are educating those who can afford. That's a very good example of showing you those who cannot afford are even going to miss out on opportunities, because even the opportunities you call government sponsorship or free have money tagged on them. Those who cannot afford that money cannot get those opportunities. I'm giving you an example. This last exam, 2 students. What ends up happening, colleagues, if it was in your constituency? The burden is going to go on me as a member of parliament to educate those children, because I cannot leave them to suffer. I'm going to ensure they become lawyers. Maybe they can transform the community. I'm going to pay. But now the burden, if we don't address this issue, the burden will transfer to you. Today it's me, tomorrow it will be you. Okay? So, colleagues, these are issues we must tackle head on. If we don't want, we are the ones going to pay the price on top of our community suffering. Honorable Minister, I'll start with Minister for Finance. And sorry, before Minister. Rob, sorry.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, before the Minister of Finance can come in, there is a new terminology that has been coined by all ministries, which is used in presenting reports, and it is called retooling. Can the Minister of Finance help us to define what this retooling is, so that we don't pass reports with subversive statements and we end up where our colleagues are ending? But 2, Right Honourable Speaker, there are many budget cuts in the Ministry of Education. We are told of securing our future. How is this future going to be secured? How are we going to progress steadily when there is no money in education? Right Honourable Speaker, the Ministry of Education recently recruited 4,500 teachers and gave them appointment letters. But they are not posted, but they have appointment letters. They may end up suing government. They come to us, they go to a secondary school, they are told there is no press here. They cannot be pressed there. But they have appointment letters. we need money for all these teachers. Right, Honourable Speaker, my colleagues have talked about loan scheme, the higher loan scheme. Instead of 27 billion, only 5 billion has been provided. This means that those who are already in universities may be discontinued. It means they may be discontinued. And those who have just applied will not be taken up. Right, Honourable Speaker. This is their own, and we are told those who completed are paying very well. So why don't we find money for their own scheme? Right, Honourable Speaker, the 15 billion for rehabilitation of traditional government schools is little money. You know the traditional schools, Ngano High School, Sir Samuel Baker, Kitgum High School, Lango, where the chief whip went, and PP, Tesokori, all these schools, they're in embarrassing conditions. And so I believe this is not enough, money is not enough. But finally, Right Honourable Speaker, I have seen suffocation of political space in universities. Professor Nyaonge is just expelling students, Nyawangwe, expelling students because of their ideologies. Now, if people cannot have freedom at university, where would they find freedom? Where would they find freedom? I know very many of you who are leaders in universities, including the speaker, including the ministers. Now, when we get here in parliament, and they are being suffocated, and we keep quiet about it, and we just give them money, we should be able to say, before we give you money, stop suffocating political space. Because it's a running ground. Even a demonstration is a running experience. I am a product of demonstrations, and I'm doing very well. Right Honourable Speaker, you know that Mama Mavira is a product of demonstrations. Even the name came out of demonstrations. So, but the point I'm making is, these are learning institutions, and people should not be suffocated or expelled just because of their political ideologies. I want to thank you.
Thank you, Lop. Start with the Minister for Finance. On finances, just 2 minutes, Honourable Minister. Quick.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me begin by also taking this opportunity to appreciate colleagues for the passionate debate they have made on the education sector. Right Honourable Speaker, education is one of the last mile interventions which touch all of us. And some of us who started from church schools, we know what it means with the story you are talking about. Mr. Speaker, from the budget side, the budget for financial year 2023-2024 has been anchored on various principles. And one of them is cutting travel abroad, suppressing completely travel abroad, except for the entities which we have also defined. But that notwithstanding, we have said on a case-by-case basis, if the reason for travel is justified, we shall be able to provide for it. And the case you mentioned of external examiners is clearly understandable. And I want to assure you and the House that this will definitely be provided for as we conclude, as we finalize the budget. The same thing with, on subventions, the 80% cut is the principle which we adopted. However, further analysis has showed that some interventions are doing are doing critical activities where the 80% rule may not apply. As a case of examinations board, a case of loan scheme, and many others. And right now, Mr. Speaker, our technical teams, I have instructed them to analyze and pick out these cases. These are some of the areas which the co-agenda will address. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Mwijuche wanted me to define retooling. In a budgeting sense, retooling captures items of building, captures items of computers, captures items of motor vehicles. Where you have seen us cut retooling budget, we are trying to implement the principle of no cars, no buying cars in the next financial year. If you have been having a motor vehicle in the retooling budget, we have taken that money. We are saying we are not allowing entities to start new buildings except the buildings which are already in progress. So this is why you see the retooling budget going down. Why are we doing this, Right Honorable Speaker? In the coming year, our budget is being affected by 2.5 trillion. Our discretionary budget is reducing by that amount. And also, we still have another deficit of 3 trillion to cover up, and we have to do efficiency within the available budget because we don't have an additional resource.
Thank you. Honourable Minister,
I think the last point is that I want to ask members to really understand the situation, and the budget is a cycle of only 12 months. If we don't address your issues in this budget, we are trying as much as possible to deal with those items which cannot wait. Those we think can wait, I want to appeal for your support that we defer them to the future financial years.
Thank you. Thank you, Honourable Minister. We shall have further debate when the budget, the final report comes here. We shall have further debate, Honourable colleagues, because some of these things are cross-cutting. The Minister's submissions are cross-cutting. And Honourable Minister, today we are, as per the deadlines, statutory deadline we are finalizing municipal policy statements. So I expect you, indeed, like you've said, to get all recommendations from all municipal policy statements. Your team studies them, and then that will guide you on your core agenda, which we also expect to receive very, very soon. So that I don't want us to stampede members with the budget to say we only have 1 hour of handling a budget. No, I want us to finish work in time, as the timeline is provided for. Yeah. So, Minister for Education, I need you to answer on the issues of the financial implication, because that's the one we are referring to the budget committee. Issues of the financial implication, the rest, I'll get you some space. Maybe next week you address them.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. I just want to thank colleagues, members of Parliament, and you for the overwhelming support you have given to put education in the center and top priority in terms of funding. Two, Mr. Speaker, most of these issues, as you have said, are really centered into budgeting. We just need more money. And the question you have put me to answer, the implication of budget to these budget cuts. One, Bunyoro University, for example, and Busoga University, we had started the process of the university. The task force have been put in place, and they have started walking the journey. And the implication of not giving funds for Bunyoro and Busoga University, meaning that the gains that we've so far made will be retarded. The task force will be rendered no job. So that needs to be really considered. Number two, the implication of not really allocating funds for the seed schools, renovation of these schools and the congestion in the primary schools directly affects the performance of education and the quality of education of our children. And lastly, Right Honorable Speaker, a lot really needs money, and as you said, when we don't provide the money, at the end of it, we will not meet the international standards in terms of education quality. We cannot meet, even within our East African community, sell our product for job market. Lastly, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. The roadmap in terms of what is it, as colleagues have asked, we have the 18 zones, Mr. Speaker, which according to our roadmaps, they must have a government university that has started. Then we have the constituencies that needs to have the TVET or the skilling or the technical institutions, and recall the presidential pledges as it has been raised. Once we do not fulfill those skilling programs, the implications that our young people, our youth, our people are not going to be competitive in the job market. Then sub-counties, we are to have the secondary educations in every sub-county. That is the policy roadmap. And lastly, the parishes are to have the primary school, and that is our desire, our commitment to ensure that we have all those within our administrative unity so that we improve the quality and accessibility, including equity for our children. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Honorable, please wait. A procedure?
Right, Honorable Speaker, thank you. I'm standing on a procedural matter. Right, Honorable Speaker, we are processing...
No, Honorable, you start with the rule.
Yes, 149. Yeah. I'm standing on... I'm deliberating on Rule 149. Right, Honorable Speaker...
No. Proceed. Read Rule 78, Sub-Rule 4.
I was, Right, Honorable Speaker, inquiring if
please
putting such an item
please, Honorable, please. If you don't have a rule, okay, then because I have time, rule, if I can just repeat it for you, okay, yes. And then that's why I asked you for a rule. Rule 78, Sub-Rule 4, where a member interrupts debate on a point of procedure, the member shall state the rule of procedure he or she deems to have been breached by the member holding the floor. I don't have a member holding the floor. I don't know which rule is being breached. So, Honorable colleagues, let's move on. So, Honorable colleagues, before I put the question, Honorable Chair, you raised the issue. Honorable Minister, you talked about retouring. The issue of asbestos. If that is covered under that, kindly let us help, because we shall be sued in future. Early morning, I received a message from a resident in Arua who said, Right Honorable Speaker, you're going to be debating education, I'm told. There is the Mvara Secondary School, one of the traditional schools in Arua, still has asbestos roofs. Let us identify those schools. Chambogo. Honorable Chair, I need you to read the supply table, the figures.
Right Honorable Speaker and the honorable members, I'm sorry, actually the supply table doesn't have any issues. The figures that are appearing here, both for recurrent and development, are the ones that are in the appropriation bill draft estimates. Okay. So the figures are correct. So
thank you.
I'd reached at vote 166, National Council of Sports. You allow me to repeat the recurrent total provision is 16,966,514,000. Total development budget, 0. Macquarie University Kampala, that's vote 301. Total recurrent, 346,669,558,000. Total development, 19,072,698,000. Vote 302. Mbara University of Science and Technology, total recurrent, 54,295,000,000. Total development, it is 3,764,047,000. Makerere University Business School, that's vote 303. Total recurrent, 103,575,000. Total development, 2,125,530,000. Vote 304. Right Honourable Speaker, that's Tambogo University. Total recurrent, 131,291,738,000. Total development is 1,710,496,000. Vote 305, Bustema University. Total recurrent, 52,112,193,000. Muni University, that's vote 306. Total recurrent, 24,080,694,000. Total development, 4,752,000,000. Vote 307, Kabari University. Total recurrent, 56,011,281,000. Total development, 2,586,568,000. Vote 308, Soroti University. Total recurrent, 22,879,364,000. Total development, 1,257,362. I beg your pardon. Total development is 1,257,362,000. Vote 309, Gulu University. Total recurrent, 61,529,303,000. Total development, 1,671,020,000. Vote 310, Rila University. Total recurrent is 29,983,277,000. Total development, 5 billion. Vote 312, Uganda Management Institute. Total recurrent, 35,594,000. 35,594,073,000. Total development is 1,320,000,000. Vote 313, Mountains of the Moon University. Total recurrent is 37,702,810,000. Total development, 0. Vote 612, local governments. Total recurrent, 3,129,000,000,000. 129,569,000. Total development, 349. I beg your pardon on total recurrent, Honourable Speaker. It is 3,129,560,000,000. Total development, 349,030,000,000. Vote 122, KCCA education grant. Total recurrent, 46,710,000,000. total development is 2,230 million. I beg to report, that Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Chair. Honourable Christine Kaya, you seem to have a very burning issue. Kindly. Let's conclude it.
Right, Honourable Speaker, my procedural matter was on the entire business of our House, Rule 149. I could not see that title on our order paper. So I was just inquiring, is it of harm to include that, the business, on our order paper? Are we proceeding right if the naming, the right naming of these reports is indicated in our order paper? That is what I was asking.
Thank you. No, Honourable, when we were starting this process, I informed the House. The whole budgeting process is provided for under Committee of Supply, under Motion of Supply. So all these items will be moving under that. So it has different items, and we shall move for many days under this same motion. So what is very important is for the Hansard to capture that under this motion we continued with ABCD. So that's how it is captured traditionally. Yeah, thank you. Honourable colleagues, I now put a question that the report of the Sectoral Committee on Education and Sports on the Ministerial Policy Statement and budget estimates for the education and sports sector for the financial year 2023-2024 be adopted. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay. Aye. The ayes have it. Chairman, congratulations. I didn't receive a minority report, and it seems the Honourable Sewungu, you listened to him properly. Yes. And the report is referred to the Committee on Budget for further consideration, consolidation and consideration. Yes, thank you. Yes, Honourable Sewungu.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. And I want to thank all the members for supporting our report, which is very strong. Honourable Speaker, we have had a lot of issues in education, and indeed this committee on Tuesday has summoned the PSST because he refused to appear under all our patients. But the issue I'm raising, Honourable Speaker, you heard about these traditional schools, but may I pray that finance and education sit and seek for a loan for rehabilitation of all schools in Uganda. If you go to primary schools, Honourable Speaker, in our constituencies, it is terrible. It is these members of parliament who are building toilets, repairing them, putting doors, painting and everything.
Thank you.
But the fact is, all our primary schools are condemned.
Honourable, let us not reopen.
No, I was just seeking for guidance. So that prayer of mine,
thank you,
should be embraced by Honourable Minister, who is my good friend Henry.
Thank you. Now, no, he sought guidance from me. Yeah. I don't want us to go back on this thing. What Parliament can only do, we can recommend financing. It's the government which knows the source of financing. It can be borrowing, it can be reprioritizing, it can be, really we can't sit here and we say, government, go look for a loan. What if it says we have money? Or what if it says, no, this does not meet? So I don't want us to reopen this. We've already closed debate. Let's move on, colleagues. Next statement.
Consideration of the report of the Committee on Physical Infrastructure on the policy statement for the financial year 2023-2024.
Honourable Chair, you have 15 minutes, like the rest have been doing. So at 12:20, your time will be done. We have our clock in the corner. You can always peep in case of any doubt.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity you've given our committee to present our ministerial policy statement and budget estimates. Right Honourable Speaker, I beg today the committee reports and minutes. I beg today. Right Honourable Speaker, I'm here to present the committee report on the integrated transport, infrastructure and services program, where Means of Works and Transport is the lead agency, and also the Sustainable Urbanization and Housing Program, where the Means of Lands, Housing and Urban Development is the lead agency. Right Honorable Speaker, I'd like to go through the votes. We have under Integrated Transport Infrastructure and Services Program, we have votes 016, which is Means of Works and Transport. We have vote 113, which is Uganda National Roads Authority. We have vote 118, Uganda Road Fund. We have vote 609, that is local government. And under the Sustainable Urbanization and Housing Program, we have the Means of Land, Housing and Urban Development. And under the Natural Resources, Environment, Land and Climate Change Program, we have Uganda Land Commission. Right Honorable Speaker, given me 15 minutes, I would seek your indulgence, and we go to page 40, where I want us to look at the allocations. Right Honorable Speaker, the budget for program, the current budget and projected budget, I want us to look at that column 2, Integrated Transport Infrastructure Services Program, excluding KCCA. We have Means of Works being allocated up there as 1,375.8 billion. No, it's 1,375 billion 0.8. That's 1.3758 trillion in summary form. And you have to go to UNRWA, 2.54721 trillion. Uganda Road Fund, 467 million. And local governments, they've got an extra 1 billion, 204.45 billion shillings. Then we have some little money, which the Means of Works gets, which is about 2.4 billion. It is added, that is under the Sustainable Urbanization Housing, and then another one for regional balanced development. And you have Means of Works getting a total of 1.378 trillion, and the total allocation under that is 4.59541 trillion. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to draw the House to page 48 of the report, which is uploaded. Page 48, the observations and recommendations. Right Honorable Speaker, when you go to the Means of Land, Housing and Urban Development, of course, hope the members have seen the allocations under the ministry. We have an issue to do with the physical development plans. On that issue, Right Honorable Speaker, we realize that the ministry requires 183.85 billion, but only 46.85 was allocated, leaving a funding gap of 137 billion. The committee therefore recommends government in the medium term to commit to funding implementation of physical development plans so as to avoid the mushrooming slums. Right Honorable Speaker, reaction requirements. Right Honorable Speaker, the Parliamentary Commission intends to demolish Development House, which currently houses the Ministry of Lands, and for that matter, the Ministry requires 24 billion to cater for rent in financial year 23-24, and 102.75 as money required for construction of a home, a permanent home. And Right Honorable Speaker, from that observation, the committee recommends that the 24 billion and the 24 for rent and the 102.75 in the unfunded priority category should be provided to the ministry to cater for office rent and construction of a permanent home for the ministry to relocate. Right Honorable Speaker, under construction of low-cost housing for Ugandans, the committee realized that in financial year 2021-22, government remitted only 30 billion, leaving a balance of 88, and whereas the balance was budgeted for in under 22-23 was affected by the budget cuts, capital development items under capital development items, no allocation was given. So, Right Honorable Speaker, we realize that the 88, the committee observed that the 88 billion and the 55 billion should be allocated to National Housing and Construction Company Limited and the Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs, which under this financial year to cater for the balance on acquisition of the National Housing and Construction Company Limited towards the clearance of the debt owed by Modifa, and also 88 be given to National Housing as the arrears. Right Honorable Speaker, the committee therefore reiterates its earlier recommendation that indeed the 88 billion should be paid to National Housing and Construction Companies Limited, and then the 55 to Modiva, which will be later paid to National Housing. Right Honorable Speaker, under land acquisition and compensation, the committee recommends that government commits to funding settlement of payment towards outstanding obligations to claimants under the various ranches, since the arrears have really gone to a big figure of 372 point almost 3 billion, and the narrative has given in the report, you'll see, but that is an unfunded priority. And also the committee recommended that the Physical Planners Registration Board, where the law was enacted here, the act was enacted, it should be operationalized, but there are no funds for that. Under the acquisition of land for development of low-cost residential houses for industrial workers, the committee was informed that UGX 25.5 is required for land acquisition, and the committee notes and appreciates the urgent need towards solving Uganda's housing problem, especially in providing low-cost residential houses for urban poor, and therefore recommends that government should prioritize funding towards land acquisition for development of low-cost housing in order to curb the rapid growth of slums. Under the maintenance of land information systems, Right Honorable Speaker, the committee recognizes the importance, as well as the importance of a well-maintained land information system, especially in revenue collection, because we've been told that the current one has challenges in securing land records, land tenure security, a reduction of corruption, improvement in service delivery, and consolidation of revenue collection. And therefore, the committee recommended that additional 5 billion be allocated towards the maintenance of the land information system from the UGX 15 billion allocated to land compensation, because the land information system is helping the ministry to generate revenue. Right Honourable Speaker, under MSOs, the budget is only 18.4 for the activity, and only 4 has been provided, and the funding gap is 14.3. Right Honourable Speaker, the committee recommends that additional 4 billion be allocated for operationalization of MSOs from the 15 billion allocated towards land compensation. And likewise, for staffing under the MSOs has been a big problem. There have been many queues and many complaints, but the biggest problem has been the staffing. The committee recommended that 2.478 billion be allocated to cover the funding gap towards staff recruitment in MSOs so as to deal with those many queues. Under the reaffirmation of the international border, Right Honourable Speaker, the committee was informed that the ministry had budgeted for 5.3 billion, but only 9 has been allocated, and leaving a funding gap of 4.8. The committee therefore recommends that the budget recommends the provision of 4.8 billion for the affirmation of the international border in this financial year, because especially people in the north have been having challenges with our neighboring country. Under NTR, the committee recommends that since government should endeavor to finance the priority areas that require urgent attention as listed, because the ministry told us it was supposed to be a funding priority, but the money towards it enhancing its NTR is a problem. Right Honourable Speaker, under strengthening of the office of the Chief Government Valuer, the committee was informed that the Chief Government Valuer's office has a project which is aimed at streamlining revenue generation under the evaluation office, and only 1.01 billion was allocated for that activity out of the required 12. The committee recommends that additional 6 billion should be allocated to the office of the Chief Government Valuer from the 15 billion allocated towards land compensation, because the Chief Government Valuer's office is also helping the ministry to improve on its revenue generation. Under land registration, the committee observed that there is massive systematic land adjudication and certification across the entire country, and the exercise generates revenue, but it is poorly funded with only 1 million. The committee therefore recommended that additional 1 billion be allocated for land registration from the 15 allocated towards land compensation. Under ULC, Right Honourable Speaker, the allocation is per, that's page 56, is per that table, where the total allocation for ULC is 27.33 billion. The committee realized that under ULC, we are supposed to operationalize the land fund, and therefore the recommendation is that government should fully operationalize the land fund and increase funding its financing to support levels, to sufficient levels to support the broader function of ULC. The committee further recommends that land fund be allocated 73.2 to compensate absentee landlords. Under the inadequate funding of the land inventory, the committee, of course, recommends that governments should provide funds to ULC to cater for startup activities towards land inventory, such as sensitization with MDAs and other stakeholders, and boundary openings and valuations. Under court cases, the committee reiterates its earlier recommendation that government should prioritize allocation to ULC in this financial year. We are budgeting for to cater for court compensation to clients of ULC. Under the ULC bill, the committee realized the money required is very little, which is almost 0.6, but only 0.1 has been provided. So the committee recommends government to prioritize allocation of extra 500 million in the medium term. Right, Honorable Speaker, the funding gaps are there summarized. I want just to go to, of course, there are land funding gaps under land compensation for absentee landlords. You can see the figure. Under the subdivision surveys, you can see the figure. Government land inventory, you can see.
Chair, your time is up, so please.
Yes, Right Honorable. Right Honorable, let me go to now the means of works and transport. We have the recommendations. The first is the implementation of the resettlement action plan for the new Kampala ports at Bukasa, the PAPs.
Honorable Chair.
Yes.
Recommendations which are not having any financial implication, jump them. Because in budget you will deal with figures, not policy statements.
Thank you, Right Honorable. Only 2 billion has been provided, and the requirement is almost 30 billion. We are requesting for those PAPs to be paid. Under the development now, the ministry had requested for 30 billion, but has been allocated only 1. So the committee recommends that government finds the balance of 29. Under road equipment for cities and municipalities.
I want to move with you on your report. Yes. You see, I don't want you to bring figures here which are not from your report.
Yes.
So on the last one where you've said around 30 billion needed, it's not in your recommendation. I don't see it. I don't see the figure in your recommendation.
Right Honorable.
So if you don't have a figure in the recommendation signed by the committee.
Right Honorable Speaker, the figure is 29.991,339.
That is for which one?
That is for the Bukasa
compensation. I'm meaning implementation of RAP. Yes,
yes,
RAP.
Yes.
So where is it in the recommendation?
In the recommendation,
this is what budget committee will be dealing with. If you have not captured it in the recommendation, then they will not capture it. And at this stage, you cannot amend the report. Maybe a member can introduce motion that we amend and include that recommendation. Okay?
Right, Honorable. Thank you. I think that was an omission. Right, Honorable. Under the development of the new Bukasa Port, the committee recommends that the 29 be allocated towards development and completion of the new port. Under road equipment for cities and municipality councils, Right Honorable Speaker, the committee realized that almost 50 million USD is required, and our committee recommendation was in the medium term, government should find money to fund that. Under improving road safety and regulation of the transport sector, only 23.86 has been allocated, and against the requirement of 62.88. The committee urges government to prioritize funding towards activities aimed at ensuring road safety in Uganda is prioritized. And under streamlining management of motor vehicle registration, only 14 billion has been allocated, and it has a requirement of 86.2, with a very big project of the building of the one-stop center. The committee therefore recommends that additional allocation of 72.26 be made in this financial year to streamline motor vehicle management and registration if the ministry and government are to meet the set targets and outputs. Right Honourable Speaker, there is a project, Kasoli Housing Project, which has a SACCO and a low-cost housing project where the SGR is supposed to sit in Tororo. The SACCO petitioned the Parliament, and Right Honourable Speaker, the funds required 3.7 for PAPs in 92 houses, DFCU Bank 3.1, PAPs in the 90 structures 817 million, and there is another group of 17 freehold offers from pool housing of 143.5 million. So the committee recommends a total of 4.73 billion to be paid to SGR, of which 3 billion 186 million, then 96,558 shillings should be paid to DFCU. And Right Honourable Speaker, you gave a directive that this issue should be restricted to the PM. Under critical funding and civil aviation, the committee was informed that the country continues to lose a lot of foreign exchange from the tourism sector due to the poor status of one of our aerodromes in Kisoro, and the committee was informed that resurfacing that aerodrome and other works requires 6 billion, and that one will help us to deal with the challenges we've been having with the tourism sector in that corner. The committee was also informed that our country, or CAA, is supposed to undergo an ICAO audit in this September, but they lack key security and safety equipment, and the requirement for that is 11 billion, and this also reflects to the country if we fail to not be good. So the committee recommends that funds be reallocated from the 3 proposed items under means of works, and additional 3 billion for aerodromes. Then UGX 6 billion for surfacing Kisoro, as I had already said, and then the 11 for the security and safety equipment. Failure to fully fund the road equipment for the 16 districts. Right Honourable Speaker, the committee observed that The committee observed that there has been partial funding. There are 16 districts which don't have road equipment, and the Minister of Finance said we should budget for it this financial year, but there are no resources for that. So our recommendation to the budget committee is to see where they can get money to make sure that those districts without road equipment are given the balance of 17 billion so that they can be like other districts. 27 billion, yes, so that they can be other like the other districts. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to go to there's a table which shows the proposed allocations under means of works and transport, and the committee recommends that the total of 46.8 billion be allocated under as follows. A, Civil Aviation Authority, 3 billion for aerodromes, 6 for Kisoro, 11 for security and safety equipment. KCCA, an addition of 20 billion to the 10 billion they have been for the roads in rehabilitation of roads and maintenance in Kampala. Then Ministry of Works and Transport, 6.2 for upgrading of urban roads under the local ceiling. Right Honorable Speaker, under UNRA, the committee observed that UNRA has continually failed to make payments to contractors in pending interim payment certificates, and the outstanding arrears as of 31st of March stand at 453.5 billion. UNRA has therefore continued to accrue interest to a tune of 227 million per day at a rate of 15% per annum. So, Right Honorable Speaker, and the outstanding interest payment obligation is 14.28 billion from the arrears only. And the committee was informed that in the meantime, UNRA is not entering any new contractual obligations until the outstanding debt payments are completed. So the committee therefore recommends that Ministry of Finance should avail the required funding to pay off the outstanding debt obligations by UNRA to its contractors. Under reduction in non-wage budget, the committee recommends that the non-wage budget component should be increased to provide for supervision costs for ongoing and planned projects and prioritization of the critical roads within the financial year 2023-24. Under right-of-way, the committee recommends that GOU should ensure substantial right-of-way is acquired so as to at least 60% to continuous sections and the corridors demarcated prior to signing of contracts for these projects. Right Honorable Speaker, KCCA. Of course, we have KCCA expressed their dissatisfaction under the inadequate funding for the road maintenance and drainage infrastructure, and they gave us their network and how it is divided in the different divisions and the kilometers and the conditions. So the committee was informed that as of March 2023, only 30.8 billion had been released against a budget allocation of 103 for financial year 2023-24, and UGX 78.54 from the integrated transport infrastructure and services, and that is, and 24.9 from Uganda Road Fund. That total is split into two. from the IS program and Uganda Road Fund. So KCCA says that it is impossible for the authority to meet its set targets and outputs according to the releases. So the committee observed that they had been given only 10 billion under this financial year we are budgeting for from the ITS program, and which is a considerable decrease from 78.54 in the last financial year. And Right Honorable Speaker, the committee was informed that there are projects which are ongoing and the kilometers are there, but KCCA said they are in the process of launching some of these. Of course, you have been seeing what is in the media. The committee was indeed concerned at the slow progress of those works, given that the closure date is supposed to be in December 2024. The committee further observed that KCCA has no road committees to oversee maintenance and rehabilitation of roads. So the committee made these recommendations that KCCA should be allocated more funds under the ITIS program, that KCCA should deliberately commit funds towards desilting and maintenance of drains across their network, and of course that is undertaking comprehensive drainage for their infrastructure systems. And we also recommended that KCCA should expedite the loan projects which loans matured long ago, and we also recommended that KCCA should be adequately funded in order to enable it to accomplish its set priorities and achieve the required outputs. Right Honorable Speaker, the last one is vote 609, local governments. The committee noted that although Cabinet made a decision for the Ministry of Finance to allocate 1 billion directly to all districts and municipalities for maintenance and rehabilitation of roads in financial year 2023-24, the committee noted that there was no clear guideline. There were no clear guidelines on the usage of the money and the role Uganda Road Fund, as per Section 25(2) of the Uganda Road Fund Act 208, in planning and monitoring. The committee therefore recommends that the additional 1 billion to all local governments should be disbursed through the Uganda Road Fund to enable the Uganda Road Fund to guide and prepare and make timely submissions of their road maintenance and rehabilitation work plans, and also monitor the implementation of these work plans. Right Honorable Speaker, subject to above observations and recommendations, I beg to present the figures below for adoption and supply of the votes under the jurisdiction of the committee. The figures of supply are vote 012, means of lands, housing and urban development. The recurrent in billions is 52 billions 987 million shillings 499,000. Then the development is 91 billion 444 million shillings 108,000. Then the total comes to 144 billion 431 million shillings, then 607,000. Under vote 016, means of works and transport, recurrent is 188 billion 102 million 437,000. No, 433,000, I beg your pardon. 188 billion 102 million 433,000. Under development, we have 1 trillion 167 billion 619,015. Then under the total is 1 trillion 324 billion. No, sorry, I beg your pardon. The total is 1 trillion 325 billion 721 million 448,000. Under UNRWA, vote 113, the total recurrent is 111 billion 195 million 024 thousand. Under development, we have 2 trillion 436 billion 014 million and then 019,000. Then under the total, we have 2 trillion 547 billion 209 million 043,000. Under Uganda Road Fund, recurrent is 644 billion 752 million 413,000. They don't have development, so the total remains 644 billion 752 million 413,000. Under under Uganda Land Commission, the recurrent is 8 billion 521 million 261,000. And Honorable Speaker, development is 18 billion 811 million 960,000, and the total comes to 27 billion 333 million 221,000. Right, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move and request the House to adopt the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Just a very quick one before I open debate. One statement which I want here. Can you confirm you have traced and you have found the 1 billion for each district? Is it in wherever? I don't mind where it is. Is it provided for in the budget?
Yes, Right Honorable Speaker. It is under local government. Very good. Giving a total of 204 billion.
Now, I direct budget committee. Look for that money wherever it is. Bring it under road fund. Because we cannot start doing things that way. Pick it from local government, put it under road fund. That's how it has been managed properly. If people are talking of rationalization and what, we don't know about that. We can't. Parliament does not work in anticipation. Rule 80 is very clear. We cannot work in anticipation. So budget committee, you go scan. You already have reads of where it is hidden. Pick it. We are happy, and bring it to the right home for the money. Okay, that is sorted.
Thank you.
Number 2, Chair, I wanted to ask, and you can guide colleagues. I've seen you referred to KCCA. So its budget will be found under presidential, the budget for this road, because you see, you are recommending that they give KCCA money. But when it comes to the table of supply, I don't see KCCA. So the recommendation, when it reaches here, will you tell budget committee to go and pick a recommendation under infrastructure, but ensure that under supply for the vote, which is under presidential, Minister of KCCA, it is covered. Honorable Byanyima, you wanted to?
Mr. Speaker, in the usual Uganda Road Fund money, it is UNRA which gets the biggest share, second is KCCA for road maintenance. So the portion for road maintenance is there, except it is not enough.
It's under road fund.
Road fund, yes.
So we ensure again, if we get that money, it's also put under road fund. Yes. Very good. Yes. I just wanted to coordinate a debate when I'm already enlightened on those issues.
Clear.
So colleagues, I'm going to pick Honorable Atima, I pick Honorable Kazini, yep. I pick Neterasiri. No, you have spoken. Everyone who has spoken today, sit. I'm not picking you. Yes. I'll pick, I'm trying to pick also Karaki. I'm going to pick you, colleagues, because I'm giving you some time. Let's do quickly. Let's do quickly. I pick many of you. I'll come here. After these ones, I'll pick some here.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I thank the committee for the elaborate report. However, in the areas of allocation to transport sector, Right Honorable Speaker, I saw allocation towards rehabilitation of Entebbe Airport phase 1 and going to phase 2 at 80%. Development of Kasese Airport at 88. Right Honorable Speaker, Arua International Airport, Arua Airfield, which was supposed to be upgraded to an international airport, has not been mentioned in this budget. Right Honorable Speaker, that is airline which is supposed to be upgraded to an airport, which will enhance trade in this region, which will create employment opportunities for the youth and the traders in this region, and enhance the foreign income for this country. I will implore the committee and Ministry of Works to have that considered, because works which had started there stalled. We are wondering what's happening with that airport, that airfield to be upgraded into airport. 2, Right Honorable Speaker, the chairperson of the committee talked about equipments for the cities, newly created cities. I did not see the figures. Right Honorable Speaker, as I speak, cities that have been created like Arua are...
Thank you. Neterasiri.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the committee, and I want to applaud the committee for identifying the 1 billion to be allocated on road fund. Right Honorable Speaker, some of us who come from rural districts and mountainous areas, we have got very few kilometers that are under the central government or under UNRA. Most of our roads benefit from this budget of road fund. So if this money is identified and allocated, Right Honorable Speaker, it will reduce on the pressures that we have. Secondly, Right Honorable Speaker, I want government to look into considering the low-cost ceiling. Most of the roads from mountainous areas, once it rains, the gravel that you put, when the rains come, it is washed off. If we can have the low-cost ceiling of tarmacking these roads, and with the less traffic in the mountainous areas and in those districts where it floods, it will save the cost of buying gravel every now and then and reduce on the noise that our people make when the roads are damaged. I want to thank you.
Thank you, Kazini.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Chairperson of the committee. The Chairperson of the committee talked of the rehabilitation of KCCA roads. but I also want to bring to his attention that recently we lost our beloved district chairperson for Hoima as a result of potholes on Hoima Bosunju Road. I therefore beg that before we lose other important people, Mr. Chairperson, you also use the same road.
No, before we lose the Ugandans. Even the less important are not supposed to die.
Yeah. Thank you for the correction, Mr. Speaker. Before we lose more Ugandans, including you, Mr. Chairperson, because you use the same road, I beg that you also consider Hoima Bosunju Road for rehabilitation. Secondly, you talked of the critical roads, and you know we have a very important critical road that connects from Kawoya to the oil fields of Huka, which we all know that the oil is now the backbone of this country. I beg that you also allocate it a budget such as that we move at par, because we need that oil. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Kazina. I only come that side coming to visit you, so if you're threatening me that I might die on the road. No,
Mr. Speaker, we work on it, then you come comfortably.
Yes, Karaki, then Feta.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. First, I want to thank the committee for the work well done, and also thank the government for the 1 billion that they are allocating for the rehabilitation of the roads. Right Honorable Speaker, I have seen the issue of the road equipments here, and the committee has highlighted that they need USD 50 million for the equipments for the cities and the municipalities. And they are recommending that at least this money be provided. On the issue concerning the 16 districts, new districts, the money is said not to be there. Right Honorable Speaker, with the 1 billion that has been added to these districts to work on the roads, which we appreciate, without the road equipment for these districts, these monies, I promise you, will come back to the consolidated fund. It will not be of any help to especially these districts without equipment. And therefore, I want to emphasize to the committee and government that please, where possible, let's look for funds and have all the districts with the equipment. I thank you.
Thank you, Feta.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the committee for doing a good job. I want to agree with the committee on UNRWA. Surely these potholes we have been talking about, others been dry, others been wet, and the minister joked that he's going to start with those ones that have a lot of water.
There are some which are bummy, they have bums.
And he was alleging that the dry ones are from West Nile. We don't agree. But it's good that money should be given to UNRWA to do a good job. I want to bring to the attention of the committee. In 2018, government compensated landowners around the Arua airfield, and there were remaining about 6 people. But up to today, nobody is talking about the balance to be paid to the people so that they vacate the place in Arua. And the Arua airfield is the biggest, second biggest after Entebbe. And people are dilly-dallying, playing around. I don't know why. People don't want to speak the facts. It has the highest traffic after Entebbe. So let's do the right things. Consider upgrading Arua airfield. I also want to say, the 1 billion ceilings we are giving to the districts is going to solve a lot of problems. It is good that the committee has seen sense in putting that money under Uganda Road Fund, because we have a legal framework under which this money can be managed properly. A district can decide to buy equipment. 1 billion can buy a grade and you begin from there. The next financial year you do another thing. So this quarrel of we don't have equipment should be addressed using the 1 billion ceilings through the road fund. In the mid
Chair Ankwere Caucus, Chair West Nile Caucus.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Bazir Bataringaya, Kashar North. Two things. One, I want to appreciate you, Right Honorable Speaker, and the entire Speaker's office, because you have fought hard. You have fought hard to have this 1 billion shillings. We want to appreciate you, and I ask the members
and
to
honorable
appreciate
colleagues, really,
Yes.
this, we promised ourselves that in this budget we must get at least 1 billion.
Yes.
So it's good it has been achieved.
Yes, thank you very much, because I think this will push it. The second issue is we vote or appropriate money for road maintenance, recurrent expenditure. Now, my concern is when we travel internationally, you find the road is marked. But here, a road is marked when it was constructed. And now night traffic has increased. Many accidents are caused by lack of road marking. I beg that this is taken into consideration. Thank you.
Songa Jantonde Seungo.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the Chair and the committee members for the report. Many of my colleagues have already mentioned key and priority areas. I want to emphasize the issue of the international border or the custom border points. For us in Uganda, it is very important that we should really link our custom border points so that we can generate more revenue for the country than borrowing high interest loans. And this is where, if I had the power, I would put money where we can generate more revenue for our people. Now, these are roads, these are areas with high returns on investments. So my prayer is that the custom border points, especially in West Nile, which has about 5 points, and if you compare the revenues generated from the custom border points of West Nile, from Goli, from Paida, from Awasi, from Vora, from Leah, from Odriamashako up to Salia Musala, the amount of money there can double the one we are getting from Malaba. So I pray that these custom border points should be linked so that we can generate more revenue. On top of that, these areas are security roads. They have security roads which can help us actually to create peace here. But also it can help us to open up the Congo market. From Koboko, Kuluba to Central African Republic is only 775 kilometers. That can open market for our people. And the Congo market is about $3 billion. Why do we go to China to borrow from high?
Thank you, Diantonde.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the releases to our districts under the road fund. It's been good.
No releases, allocation.
Allocations, sorry.
Proposed allocation, yeah.
Thank you, the proposed allocations. It has been good, though in this last quarter, the last 4 quarters, there was a sharp decrease in the allocations, in the releases. Then we have a challenge. In some districts, Ministry of Works has been allocating some, has been identifying some roads in our districts and working on them, but then at a very high cost compared to what road fund gives us. So by introducing this 1 billion to our districts, I think it will remove that double expenditure. Because what I was going to say, if this money wasn't in our budgets, I was going to say that maybe this money, like for Liantonde, they would allocate us like 200 million to work on a 15-kilometer road. And yet, they would allocate maybe 300 million to work on road coverage of 200 kilometers, rather like 100 kilometers, all 53. So you see that there is a big gap. Compared to 1 kilometer being worked on, you find that maybe for the district roads, it's around 5 to 6 million. Then for the road fund, it's about 15 million for ministry, the roads that they were working on. So my request is that if this is done, then that kind of double expenditure, and then even not having better roads will be removed. We shall see that we supervise from our districts, but then there is that challenge in the ministry where you allocate a lot of funds and you don't let it.
Ojok, then Seungu. Let me first speak Ojok, I come here.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Now, colleagues, let me, I have very good eyes. Those of you who just came today, when we have been processing ministerial policy statements, and I know you, I'm not picking any. We have been here since the other day. Yesterday we left at 9 p.m. Some just came in today. I'm not picking any. You can be going for the caucus. There's the caucus before the buses leave you. Yeah.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Allow me to thank the Chair and the committee for the report. Right Honorable Speaker, on the 6th of April 2023, the Prime Minister made the following statement: that the Gulu, Opet, Rashkoro, Paton, Abim, Moroto Road is a national road and the responsibility of UNRWA, and the road is currently under maintenance. Although the road was not listed on NDP 3, it's a priority road as stated by HE the President in his pledges. As such, the road has been identified for development. Design for upgrading of this road is scheduled to commence in the next financial year. Right Honorable Speaker, this Moroto Road has been talked about for so long, and it connects over 60% of northern Uganda. So allow me, Right Honorable Speaker, to request that this is considered as stated by the Prime Minister, because it was mentioned in the committee's report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Seungu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I want to thank the Chair and the committee for the good report. Honorable Speaker, and for me, I'm interested in knowing how much fuel is allocated to the tractors in districts, plus maintenance. You can buy road units, but you don't provide the fuel to run these machines. I want to know that. Secondly, in Kalungu, where I come from, we are among the new districts that were created. But we have only one small Tarmac road of 1 kilometer that goes to the certain Catholic church built by an individual. I want to know whether you have put money for every new district with no single Tarmac at all. When shall we ever have Tarmac in new districts? We want to know that from that budget. Because what's the interest of creating districts and we just have those roads with no single Tarmac at all? I want to find out that from your report. Then, lastly, the issue of Kampala. I don't know if they have looked at Salama Road, and there are matters of litigation within the KCCA, where the IGG has stopped contracts to proceed. Have you looked at that and what is taking place on that, so that these roads can be maintained and be constructed? And that one, lastly, also, Mr. Speaker, the issue about the express highway, Entebbe Express Road. That road, when you read the contract, was supposed to be having lighting. There's no lighting along that road, and a number of accidents are happening along that road. Can we know whether there is something you have taken attention of the challenges on that road, so that we have light other than that dark night where people are being killed all the time? Others, I want to thank you for the report. But in new districts, without Tarmac, Mr. Chairman, and your district is among those, help us to know when we shall get Tarmac, at least one of the main roads within the district to be tarmacked. Buhueju is here.
Thank you. Chivoga, Mayanja, Soroti, Komaket. Now, colleagues who have not been here, you're still standing up. I will not pick you. I will not pick you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I also chair the Parliamentarians Land Management Forum. Thank you for the opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, my comments go to the Ministry of Lands. They have well represented the environment sector when they reported that they have cancelled over 12 land titles in protected areas. But Right Honorable Speaker, we need more money to help them cancel more of these land titles in protected areas. And Right Honorable Speaker, we see a lot of money requested for the Land Information Center, but we are not provided this information regularly and openly. As much as we would like the Land Information Center to have more money, really would like much of the information to be shared publicly. Otherwise, Right Honorable Speaker, the issue of compensation rates, there are only 5 districts whose compensation rates have been approved. We request that this ministry is provided with more money to help especially districts undergoing compensations in the oil region that have been affected by the pipelines, to help them approve their compensation rates such that they help our people. I don't know what is happening. When it comes to compensation of individuals, we tend to propose a reduction in their budgets. But when it is to institutions, then we try to prioritize it. Right Honorable Speaker, we request for some more money in the land.
Aran Mayanja.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, my concern is about the 1 billion which has been allocated to each district. I propose that let it be increased to 2 billion. Yes, because this money is going to our constituencies, to our district. So, Honorable Chair, I propose let them 2 billion for each district and municipalities. Secondly, Honorable Sewungu has talked about it, that district without a single tarmac road, let them be considered. Like an Akasake district, where I'm 7 foot from, we have no single tarmac road. Sincerely, it is a shame to NRM. Let this district be considered. And lastly, it's about KCCA. When you move around the city, most of traffic lights, they are not working. When you bypass Entebbe Express, Northern Bypass, those traffic lights on those roundabouts, they are not operating. I think let the authority be funded fully. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, no, Minister, if my memory serves me right, you will of course explain better. As if in the 10th Parliament we passed a road for Nakaseke Road under ADB. But you will answer that under ADB. If I can remember, what happened if it was done?
Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you for the directive that this projected 1 billion shillings should come under the Uganda Road Fund. I want to thank you very much. Number 2, Right Honorable Speaker.
It came out of the recommendation of the committee and I've emphasized it.
Thank you very much. Yeah. I want to thank the committee. Number 2, Right Honorable Speaker. We are in the cities, but it's a very embarrassing situation that we keep borrowing graders from the neighboring districts up to now. Soroti City last year almost returned the money because we had to wait for Soroti District to first grade its roads before we were given the equipment. Number 1, I want to urge this Parliament that we support the Ministry of Works. We need graders in the cities, we need wheel loaders, we need the rollers, we need the dump trucks in the cities. And then number 3, Right Honorable Speaker, the cities need to be treated like special districts. You see why I'm saying this? The cities are still receiving the budget of the municipalities. Say for instance, Soroti municipality had only 12 wards. But when the city was created, they brought in additional 13 parishes into the city. But the budget is still for a municipality. I want to request the Parliament that we put additional funding to the cities so that we have the good roads. Thank you very much.
Komaket.
Right Honorable Speaker, thank you so much. Right Honorable Speaker, basic science tells us that for any object to be living, it should have the ability to move around. How that object moves around is upon us, Right Honorable Speaker. We are human beings and we move around. It's upon the Ministry of Transport to make sure that human beings, Ugandans, who toil day and night move in a comfortable way. Right, Honorable Speaker, speaking of a comfortable way, I come from Pade District in Aru County. Aru County has never seen even an inch of a tarmac road. The president has always come in there and pledged to us the Cholibu Puranga Road. This time when they were constructing, when they were rehabilitating Konakamdini Road, they did all the work and stopped in Lira, instead of proceeding to Puranga Acholibu. So can the minister come and indicate to us or tell us clearly when are they going to work on a road? So that Aru, for once, Aru has never had a member of parliament who has been supporting the government. I'm the first, and it should be on record. No, Right Honorable Speaker, I mentioned, protect me, Right Honorable Speaker.
He's an independent, so he has...
Thank you very much. During campaigns, I said it categorically clear that let us give to the president so that we can harvest something. What do I tell to my people? Uganda Road Fund, Right Honorable Speaker, Uganda Road Fund released the document on the 17th of April. The document indicates road maintenance indicative planning figures for 2023-2024, and new administrative law units were not included. I have Lunyiri sub-county, I have Poko sub-county, I have another sub-county known as Atanga. All of them are not included. Where are these human beings going to locomote from?
Thank you. Honorable Anifa, Honorable Musana Eric, Honorable Mero.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to appreciate the committee for this wonderful presentation or report. Mine is, I want to emphasize on land compensation, the Bukasa project. If we do not compensate those people, our project of the new port is going to stall. Secondly, I want to also talk about the court cases. They were awarded 500, under Land Commission, they were awarded 500 million. Right Honorable Speaker, there are too many cases. Actually, over $1 billion of awards from courts. So 500 million is too little to be given to Land Commission for compensation of these costs. I pray that the committee please to elevate such that these people be awarded more costs. Thank you. I thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. Stop robbing me. I know who has not been here. You see, last night we left here past 9 p.m. So there is no excuse one can give for not coming here, whether you are busy, whether the other day we left also the same time. So I want to reward those ones who are hardworking. Musana Eric? No, Martin, please. Take your seat. I didn't call you. Honorable Musana Eric?
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I want to commend the chair and the committee.
Honorable Wakaima was here on Monday. That's what he's telling me. So, you even come to Raya and you.
On Monday.
So, Honorable Wakaima on Monday, I wasn't here, unfortunately. So, I didn't, and colleagues didn't see you. Honorable Musane.
Mr. Speaker, I have a serious concern to do with the Uganda Land Commission. We have a very big challenge, especially when it comes to the absentee landlords. The Uganda Land Commission was largely put to make sure that the absentee landlords that are sitting on the land in the Bunyoro region specifically are paid off, and then the people can have their land. The biggest challenge now we are having, that the commission is actually working at a very low pace. I would want to request the Honourable Minister if substantial amount of money is given to the Uganda Land Commission to pay off these absentee landlords, and then the people would get their land, especially in Bunyoro. Number two, the issue of systematic land demarcation. The systematic land demarcation, a lot of land titles were purchased by Uganda Land Commission. The titles are lying idle in Uganda Land Commission. How about, can we
provide enough funds for Uganda Land Commission,
Procedure?
and then the people should have their own titles.
Procedure?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Is the member proceeding well when we are discussing issues of roads?
Under what rule? Okay, thank you.
We are on roads and the member is discussing land.
Thank you. No, please. Honorable Ngora, I have forgiven you. Go on. This is a statement that has land, that has roads, so it means you're not concentrating. So kindly concentrate.
Mr.
Honorable, conclude.
Mr. Speaker, that's why you were guiding if we have been here ever since we started. I'm only concluding on the issue of systematic land demarcation. Honourable Minister would request that you provide enough funds for the many land titles that are lying idle in the Uganda Land Commission. And these titles are in the regions of Bunyoro. If we can have our own titles, then that would be the best.
Thank you. Honourable Mero.
Thank you very
and then
much,
I
Right
pick
Honourable
Honourable
Speaker.
Ayotoni.
Right Honourable Speaker, I want to thank the committee for the report. However, Right Honourable Speaker, I am a little bit perturbed when this House is appropriating money year in, year out to purchase land for the construction of the low-cost houses. And yet we are seeing nothing. We are selling some of the land that is meant for low-cost houses. The land in Nakawa, we have not yet known how much money we have gotten from it. Today we are asking for 25 billion to buy land for low-cost houses. I want therefore to propose that the 25 billion that the committee is asking for be put in the roads, Ministry of Works to work on the tourist roads so that we can be able to have good roads that take our tourists to our tourist destinations. I beg to submit, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. I would be a beneficiary. I don't have any central government road in my constituency. And Honorable Cheri confirmed it when he came. Not Tarmac, not what? I'm meaning central government. I only survive. So, Honorable Ayotoni, then Honorable Katanywa.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Then Edakas.
Right Honourable Speaker, I want to start by thanking the committee for a good work. But, Right Honourable Speaker, the chairperson of the committee talk of a requirement of 30 billion shillings for right of way for Bukasa Port. Unfortunately, I have checked in the report and I find no figure provided. Therefore, I would wish to urge the chairman that when he comes back here, he should move the motion so that the figure is captured in the report and then government can process. Because without that, then we can't handle it. To Right Honourable Speaker, you have shown concern on the bad roads in Kampala Capital City Authority with the deep, dry, wet potholes. But Right Honourable Speaker, one big problem with the Kampala Capital City Authority is that up to now, and ever since they have been there, they don't have the roads committee. And yet the law provides that it's the roads committee that will receive complaint, would prioritize and ensure that the roads are being worked on. So I think would urge the ministry that next time if Kampala Capital City Authority does not put in place, constitute a road committee, then their funds would first be held until, because now this is a question of order, organization, and proper management of resources to ensure that the roads are okay. And then, Right Honourable Speaker, we lose a number of people on road carnage. But when you see in this budget, only 600 million shillings has been provided for road safety. And the committee is proposing additional 500. And yet, from the National Road Safety Policy, every year they require about 5 billion shillings to ensure that they save the lives of the people. Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. Kitanya? Oh, sorry.
I'm just concluding. Urging that when we are providing funds here, we need to provide additional funds for road safety, maybe to a tune of 2 billion shillings so that they can start on something. Because while we talk about other things, we are losing people every day, and that would be a bigger concern for this parliament.
Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honourable.
So wait, this is one of the MPs who has been from 10 a.m. every day, and I had not given him a chance to speak.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for this opportunity.
Chair, my first concern is about the delayed payment of contractors. Right Honorable Speaker, in the past, if anyone had a contract with government, you would walk to a financial institution and you would be sure that you are going to get a loan. Today, the contractors who have contracts with government, if they walked in a financial institution looking for a loan, they chase them away. Right Honorable Speaker, in the report, it has been indicated that the contractors have not been paid. And indeed, many contractors have even abandoned their contracts, and some of them, their property has been taken by the banks because they borrowed loans. I want to suggest, Right Honorable Speaker, that the contractors who have not been paid, money should be availed so that these contractors are paid, and most of them, Right Honorable Speaker, are local contractors. So if we are building the capacity of our local contractors and yet we are not paying them, then we are failing our own at the expense of the external contractors, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, my second concern is about the zonal offices for the Ministry of Lands. I want to thank the Ministry for the innovation of coming up with the zonal offices. These zonal offices have been so helpful, Right Honorable Speaker. Unfortunately, looking at the report, the funding for these zonal offices is still very little. I want to suggest...
Thank you. Muzare Okwi. Procedure.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Unfortunately, I can't remember.
No, Honorable, then take your seat if you can't remember.
No, please, let me proceed, Honorable.
Honorable Achon.
Yes.
Just if I can remind you, quickly, just take your seat, I remind you. Rule 78, sub-rule 4, says the moment you stand up on a point of procedure, before anything you must state the rule. The moment you forget it, then there is no way I can proceed. The answer will look really that in future. Honorable Muzare, when you remember the rule, you will let me know.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to emphasize on the issue of areas in UNRWA. Right Honorable Speaker, many contractors have been affected. Many contractors have collapsed because of failure by government to pay contractors across the board, not only in UNRWA. It's a challenge that instead of government developing its own people, it is actually collapsing them. Right Honorable Speaker, on the issue of housing, national housing, when you are flying up Kampala, you'll see slums everywhere. I don't know what is actually happening with our housing sector. Otherwise, every year you see no change. Kampala is almost remaining the same, and actually we are increasing the slums in this city. Right Honorable Speaker, the Minister for Lands is actually proposing that he should be given 26 billion for rent. I see this as it's too much. 26 billion can actually enable the ministry to buy a property that it can, at the end of the day, give it to a small entity within the sector. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you when you spoke about the potholes, the fatty ones, the wet ones.
I know where you're going.
Right.
Conclude, Muzad.
Right Honorable Speaker, I'm happy that KCCA has at least started on patching up the potholes. I just want to encourage the minister.
Thank you.
Some, of course, by last night I would see some people
on
trying
Tuesday,
to do some work.
On Tuesday we shall have a comprehensive statement and we shall have...
And Right Honourable Speaker, I want to bring to you information from the public, that the public is so happy with what you talked about and what is actually being done right now. I thank you, Right Honourable.
Thank you. Honourable Kui.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. I want to join my colleagues in thanking the committee for this report. Mr. Speaker, I have two issues. One, on the issue of the 1 billion allocated to the districts for the road works. Mr. Speaker, we should be very careful on the terminologies. If we say it's going for the rehabilitation, then it will not go to the road fund. If we say it's going for road maintenance, then it will fit in the Road Fund Act. So I want to appeal that we look at the terminologies we are putting as we work on these documentations, Mr. Speaker. Two, Mr. Speaker, the Equal Opportunity Commission put Lango at 1% of the Tarmac road, just like you said in your area also. But Mr. Speaker, we had a meeting with the President, and he called the religious leaders, the political leaders from Lango and Acholi, and he promised that at least he will pick 2 roads in Lango. The one from Lira, Aloy, Otuke to Abim, and the road from Namasale, Doklo, Aloy to Ogur. But Mr. Speaker, I want to understand from the chair, and the minister is here. UNRWA is saying they are not going to pick any other new roads. And the president made this pledge in front of the religious, political, RDCs, and all the stakeholders in Lango. Yes. Do we have provision? Because he said before the end of this Kisaja, at least these 2 roads would have been worked on. I want to understand. I thank you.
Thank you. Now, Honorable Kui, just, you see, colleagues, the roads we have, the 1 billion, if you would say that it goes into this thing of what they call rehabilitation, it cannot even do. Our biggest problem is maintenance of our small roads. That's all we have. And us, when we are appropriating, at that stage of appropriation where we have now full power, honorable colleagues, we shall determine when we send it under road fund, it will be for maintenance. Like in my area, tell me what will you rehabilitate? Then it will mean in Mitoma, you've not given me anything. I don't have anything to rehabilitate. I need you to maintain our small poor roads. Period. The moment you do that, you lift the burden off the shoulders of these MPs. And I really want to thank you, Honourable Minister, and the President, for really committing and ensuring that you have delivered on this. Our road is at 4 up. Now, colleagues, what this means, you must ensure you attend your road committees in the districts. You are part of the road committees. If it's not there, ensure that road committee is, otherwise that money will also be misused. It will be diverted to allowances, it will be, reallocation among priorities of the districts, and it will be lost. I had picked on Edakas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, Speaker, let me also thank you on the behalf of people of Kabremaido. The people of Kabremaido will remember this parliament for that 1 billion. We have been receiving less than 160 per year. We have over 360 kilometers. You do the math. So I thank you very much, and I thank this House. I thank you, colleagues. Secondly, I just would like to ask the Minister. I've been worried by the statistics I've seen that we accumulate daily 227 million on contractors, the money we are not paying. Ever since we started sitting here, we probably accumulated per hour 9.4 million. Just want to know what is happening. Why are we not able? Why is government not able to find money to pay these contractors? Because even tomorrow it will be more. And related to that, Honorable Minister, through you, Mr. Speaker, Kabremaido has waited for Katine Ochero Road, and this House passed a loan through Islamic Bank. The financial year is coming to an end, and I'm worried out of these same dates that maybe we will not receive that road again. Please help me clarify. And finally, Right Honourable Speaker, on the issue of land information systems, out of 10 people who are in jail in Kabaramaido, nearly 5 of them are out of land dispute. Let us find money and give this commission to improve the land system, the information for land system. UNRA and Land Commission will agree with me that there are thousands of people whose land titles have been lying up to now. They don't know the status of their land titles, and yet
Chirhura. Chirhura, then Kubeketedia.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I want to join my colleagues to thank the chairperson and the committee for the good report. Right Honourable Speaker, I want to comment on the 1 billion. I want to appreciate you and the entire members of this August House for the 1 billion that is going directly to our districts. And this is mainly meant for our district roads, not central roads. So that will help us so much. It will not solve everything, but we are going to be relieved as community leaders or as members of parliament. Secondly, Right Honourable Speaker, the committee recommended 27 billion for acquisition of road equipments. I want to commend that maybe if you procure those equipments, it will help solve the problem of UNRA roads in our districts. Right Honourable Speaker, allow me to mention about 3 central government roads. There is one called Rishere Chinonu Road. There is Nyakashara Chikats Road. There is Kashwa Kashonji Rumba Road. They are all in bad shape. Right Honourable Speaker, also allow me to interest the Minister for particularly Kashwa Kashonji Rumba Road that has been pending for tarmacking. That road has been left there for the last 3 years without being maintained at all. Right Honourable Speaker, I request that the Minister takes interest in that particular road. I thank you.
Thank you. Honourable James Kubekateria.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I just have 2 issues. The first one was about land compensation, and I think the report was talking of 73 billion to be given for land compensation. So my question is, does the ministry have a comprehensive plan of which places must be compensated nationally? Because we had this for the last 20 years. We started with the land with the compensation fund of about 3 billion. So this 73, is it only supposed to be in one region, or we are going to look at the whole country comprehensively where we need to compensate the absentee landlords? Then too, Mr. Speaker, something to do with the road. We are looking at the Kampala roads being bad, but the issue of quality control is very serious. As long as KCCA makes its roads, but the quality, after 2 or 3 weeks, you find the whole thing given up. So why don't we have the quality control the people in terms of quality control to ensure that before a road is commissioned, something must be done. But that's the reason why we are spending much, but the quality and the materials used, I think, is the one that is letting us down. I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to add my voice. I want to add my voice to thank the committee and the members for the report. I want to interest myself in the recommendation of strengthening the office of the Chief Government Valuer. Mr. Speaker, since we are talking about money, it is important that 1, we look at revenue, and also 2, we look at preventing all leakages. Mr. Speaker, looking at the report, the committee observed that only 1 billion, 1.something billion, has been allocated out of what was requested, 12 billion. And in my view, Mr. Speaker, it is very possible that we avail the 6 billion as per the committee recommendation because what we are bound to lose if we get wrong valuations is much more than the 6 billion. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to implore the ministry to accept and avail the 6 billion. Then lastly, Mr. Speaker, I also want to talk about the delayed payments to contractors. Specifically, there is a 453 billion arrears to UNRA. In my constituency of Butemba Chankwanz, Mr. Speaker, we only have a few kilometers of UNRA roads, but unfortunately, these are the roads that are very, very bad. The road from Bukwiri to Vierima, the road from Chenda to Vierima, even the famous Bukwiri Nari road. These are roads that are impassable. So, Mr. Speaker, in my view, if UNRA is funded...
Thank you. Arua City.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. By principle, we all agree that our roads are doing badly off, and the road sector needs serious funding. However, I have concerns, and I need the committee to capture. There are those roads in West Nile that have been earmarked by the donors. For instance, we have Koboko, Yumbe, Moyo Road, about 105 kilometers. The World Bank is willing and has been waiting for the government to clear the compensation process, but the procurement has taken forever. And then Manibe, Teregu, Yumbe Road, the visibility study, Right Honorable Speaker, and the design has taken more than 10 years. We wonder what is happening. Yet we have the donors who are willing to come in to tarmac our roads. I just need clarity on this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Achon.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. And the few issue which has been burning me, Honorable Speaker, we are aware, Honorable colleagues, you know, in our country, when they realize there's development coming up, those who are nearby roads, they come and begin constructing or planting trees. This is one of the things I would like WONDRA to make sure we put the road reserve, Honorable Speaker. This is one of the key things which this country has forgotten. For example, a couple months back in Lango or Otuke, we heard the Chinese, they went to survey a road to construct this road which is proposed to be made from Lera, Leptong, Otuke, Kotido. The community, they began to plant trees close to the road so that they begin to get compensation. This is one of the things we find this country, we are losing a lot of money in compensating people during this road construction. So, Honorable Speaker, this is one of the key things which I really wanted to raise the issue, which this country have forgotten. Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, you recall that the Honorable Acheng Sar Opendi brought a motion here some time back, and we asked our Committee on Physical Infrastructure to investigate this streamlining management of motor vehicle registration project. This was, I think, 30th November. And since then, the report has not come by the same Committee on Physical Infrastructure. Now they are recommending that 72.6 billion be given in respect to that project. Yet we don't know the status of this project, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, we pray that this House stands over this committee recommendation of an additional 72.26 billion shillings until that report is brought to this committee. Because we are told that that company actually does not exist. Two, Right Honorable Speaker, hearing that UNRA is not entering into any new contractual obligations without payment of the contractors is worrying. That we have heard the Prime Minister here before assuring some communities, some districts that your road is a priority. That you Buhweju people, in the cabinet, the minister has said your road is a priority. Now, what are priorities without funds? What are priorities without funds? We want to know what you mean by a priority, but there are no funds. Why don't you be clear that we have no funds? So that you don't excite.
Just allow 2 more minutes for Rob.
Thank you. Why do you excite communities? Right, Honourable Speaker, you remember you were in Buhweju. The issue of the Buhweju road was brought to your attention. And you made some commitments and you did your work. There was a cabinet meeting where the president said the Buhweju road, the Ngora road, these are priorities. Now the money is not there. I don't know how now you define the word priorities. Now, I go to the issue of lands, right, Honourable Speaker. The Ministry of Lands, some time back here we changed the minister. The minister is still in office. I don't recognize that minister as a person who voted for her change. Now, how do I pass money to the ministry for a person I don't recognize? And we have not had any communication from the executive. I am at a right, Honourable Speaker. I need guidance on passing money to the Ministry of Lands when there is somebody there who was censured. Right, Honourable Speaker, I have just been looking at the committee report, which is signed by only 7 members. Yesterday we said 7 plus minority, that is okay. Now there are just 7 members, and there is no minority report. But all the NRM members of Parliament refused to sign it. Yes, I have it here. You can check your copies.
What about chair?
Apart from the chairman and the vice, all the other members. I talked about members of the committee.
Your 2 minutes are going, so
information. I'll call you to give information, but okay.
Look, I just want to give you information that apart from the majority of NRM, virtually all the NRM, except the chair and the vice, signing, the rest did not sign. But more importantly, FDC, UPC, NUP, and Independent signed. So that gives us there is a problem somewhere. Can we be told? Secondly, of the tarmac roads in Uganda, can we, as a matter of fairness, now know how many are in the west, how many in the center, how many in the north, how many in the north, how many kilometers are tarmac in the north, and in the east, and in the center, and in the west? We need to know, because this is national sharing of the cake, right, Honourable Speaker. I know you are crying, you come from the west, but your constituency doesn't have tarmac road, but can we know how many tarmac roads, how many kilometers of tarmac roads are in the west, in the center, in the east, in the north? I beg to request.
You see, Rob, when I tell you, instead of information, our senior has asked more questions also.
Right, Honourable Speaker.
So please conclude.
It is very difficult to deny Atat information given her age and experience. So I was at pain. But right, Honourable Speaker, I was concluding, and my question to the Minister and the Chair is why you want us to give you money when the report is not yet out. And for me on that, I want to request Parliament that we stamp our foot down and say we cannot provide money for a company whose existence we are not aware of. I want to thank you.
Thank you. I remember when I was the chief whip, I'm the one who worked on, appointed most of these members on this committee. This is one of the most sought after committee which people were fighting for. I will give my advice to the chief whip, if possible. members who didn't sign the report without an explanation and cannot bring even a minority report should be dropped. Yesterday, I talked to the chief whip. It's something we discussed. And also as a leadership, we are going to take it up. If you're a member of parliament, you're on committees, and you cannot even sign a report, it means you don't attend committees. Okay? The chairpersons are struggling. Now, and then you want to come here, sometimes disturb from here. So I think we are even going to start telling your constituents. Maybe we release information. We buy space in the media, we show this MP attended this, we had 100 meetings, okay? And he only attended 2. And this is where they were discussing business of their constituents. We might be forced to reach that level. Why aren't you attending committee meetings? And then you are choosing ministers of not attending. It's a really big shame. I had not looked at this, but I'm going to discuss it with the chief whip. We had discussed yesterday evening, but I'm having a meeting with him. Honorable Minister, Right Honorable Prime Minister, you're here. Please, members who are refusing to sign committee reports without producing alternative reports, okay? It means they are not attending to the business. And I'm going to analyze all this. Colleagues, please, I don't have much time, please. Number 2, on the issue of us not giving money to Minister of Lands, no, we will give it money. It must be appropriated too. But because you see, colleagues, sometimes people take advantage of a gap in the law. Article 118, Clause 2 of the Constitution says, upon a vote of censure being passed against the minister, the president shall, unless the minister resigns his or her office, take appropriate action in the matter. It does not give a timeline. It does not define which kind of action. So the best I can do is cross-check with the executive if they took any action on the matter. No, we wrote by submitting the resolution of this house. So the gap is in the law, okay? So for now, but I would request honorable colleagues that we appropriate money. Since we have other ministers, we shall appropriate for what you call the good one. Honorable Nabakova, you considered the good one, okay? Thank you. Honorable Minister, Chair, you will conclude. The procedure, yes, Esther? Don't mind, I'm allowing you, take it quick. I don't want you to.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, won't it be procedurally right as the minister or the chairperson comes back to respond, really gives us the way forward over Entebbe Express Highway lighting security features, being that its money is entirely outlined and we pay, and 2, the contract shows that they had to take care of that. Today, Wakiso people have insecurity due to that involvement. I beg to request.
I can see how you've passed in the kitchen to come to the main room. He has taken note, he will answer. Our Honourable Minister can answer that quickly. This is 2 minutes each.
Right Honourable Speaker, it is true that this budget that we are discussing is going to put a lot of emphasis on maintenance. But it is not entirely true, like UNRWA says, that there will not be completely 100% new projects coming on board. That is the business of the executive. We will be working as executive, working with you, Parliament, to identify some very exceptional cases and bring them on board. But the emphasis with these resources that we are giving is maintenance. That's 1. 2, let me just cite one case. There has been this concern by my colleague on this road of Luero, Kiwoko, Butalangu, Nakaseke headquarters. I am happy to report to this House that a contract has already been signed. What is just awaiting now the final stage is the Solicitor General to append his signature, and that is being worked on. So very soon, my humble self, or my senior, or even a person more senior than all of us, will be coming to do the groundbreaking. Right Honorable Speaker, at one point here, my senior colleague presented a general overview of the road situation as asked by IMAT, Cecilia Timogwal. But if you don't mind, if this House doesn't mind, we'll again come back here and indicate to this Honorable House how we have done the number of kilometers and the breakdown per region and what needs to be done. This we'll be very happy to do. In as far as equipment for the new districts concerned, you gave some resources here, but those resources were not adequate, and that's why we are asking for 27 billion. In our opinion, with the calculation that has gone into by the technical people, if we receive that 27 billion, that will enable us to at least tackle the 16 districts, new districts. Again, like Mr. Speaker, you have correctly said, and I want to say this, your mind and the mind of this parliament met very well with that of His Excellency the President, particularly on the 1 billion shillings per district. But because I am not the spokesperson of Cabinet, but since it is now public information, the Right Honorable is here. It is His Excellency the President who came and directed us as Cabinet. You are discussing this, but before you proceed, make sure there will be 1 billion shillings per district in this coming budget, His Excellency. So once the Chief Finance Officer, His Excellency, made that directive, the rest of us were not just to salute and say permission to carry on. And that's what we precisely did. So we want to thank you, Mr. Speaker, and honorable members, for the meeting of minds on this very critical subject. What needs to be done, I had not, because also we had not looked at the nitty-gritty on how do we channel the money to the districts. But this House seems to guide and suggest that it should go through the road fund so that there is a structure. And that's a matter that we don't, I have only 1 minute. I have only 1 minute.
No,
so,
you don't have a lecture of time. Conclude,
yes,
conclude.
So, Mr. Speaker, first of all, the road sector is very critical. I am personally embarrassed when I pass the city and see these potholes with the water and some dry. We are going to work on this pot. We are going to work on the potholes.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Yes.
That's enough.
Yes, thank you.
Now. Thank you. Issues of a financial nature.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament. I want to thank the committee for the report. Our issues have been ably captured by the committee report. Right Honorable Speaker, two things to emphasize. As a ministry, we need money to do our work. We are underfunded, that's what I can say. We cannot do compensation. Litigation is a problem, even functioning of our EMSO offices. So we need money to help us do that. Eviction, once compensation money is provided, then we shall be in position to handle the evictions, but also the landlords to be paid off. Right Honorable Speaker, as we speak, we have landlords who decided to give us their land in 2014, but up to now, we haven't concluded payment of those pieces of land. And even subdivisions are tight and very difficult because of finances. So I would suggest that if finance can give us money, we are good to go and we are energized to do the work and serve you. Then, Right Honorable Speaker, one issue that was not talked about is the issue of USMID. It is winding up in December this year. We had 80 billion which was supposed to be given under this project, but as we speak now in the budget, there is only 30 billion. So we were asking, if possible, let the 50 billion be allocated to USMID so that they can conclude the project by December 2023, because we are told that there will be no extension for this very project of USMID. And remember, this is a project which is helping our cities and municipalities
Thank
in as
you.
far as developing the infrastructure is concerned.
Thank you,
Right
Honorable
Honorable
Minister.
Speaker.
KCCA, we are together on Tuesday, but you can have a minute if you want to say. Okay. This, but on Tuesday, that's when you are going to respond.
Right, Honorable Speaker and members, thank you very much. The only information I can provide is that Salama Road is not under any investigation. It has been cleared, and as I'm speaking now, the contractor is in what we call the mobilization period and utility relocation. And then the road committee, Honorable Speaker, I wrote to members of parliament from Kampala, Kampala Capital City Authority and the district as large. We are meeting on 27th. My prayer is, through you, request for me the members to come and we sit, because every time I have issues on the road, only 3 members turn up: Kampala Central, Lubaga South, and Nakawa East. The rest feel like they don't want to talk to some of us. And I always select a neutral place. Even this time, I've decided not to be in our offices, but in a hotel. So I request you use your voice to direct those members to come and we sort out the issue of the road committee.
Thank you.
I beg to submit. Thank you very much. But
Honourable
Tuesday,
Minister,
I'll
you
bring
shouldn't
a
have road
comprehensive
committee meetings in a hotel. Go at KCCA. There are rooms.
Because
and the next time you write a meeting, you invite a meeting.
Yes.
Please give me whether it's a blind copy. We shall work with the rope. Rope will ensure that his members attend.
I welcome
we
your
usually
guidance.
sometimes
Thank you
work
very
that
much.
way when we have challenges. Thank you. Yes. Honorable Chair, do you have anything to add on?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I'd like to take this opportunity of thanking you for allowing us to present this committee report, and indeed the guidance you've given us through the deliberations. I'd like also to thank the members who have given different views and their requests we have noted.
Thank
However, Right Honorable Speaker, as the Minister said, we would like the Minister to bring the status of all projects of the ministers being undertaken, the status, the funding gaps and other challenges which will help us. But I would like to respond to the LOP on the issue of the 72. Means of Works, the function of motor vehicle registration is under the Means of Works and Transport, though URA has been undertaking that role. Now, the function has been withdrawn from URA. They are building a one-stop center where all, and the project is about 55 billion, just that's the construction alone. So this streamlining of motor vehicle registration figure which has been available is not for the intelligent management system. It is for works to undertake the vehicle registration. Thank you.
Thank you. Colleagues, just quickly, I need the Committee on Physical Infrastructure on Monday. I think you can do 2 groups because we expect a statement from the Minister of KCCA on our potholes. I need you to visit to do a spot check of the affected areas so that you bring here information I compare with what the Minister tells me, tells the House. So Minister, because we are now on program-based budgeting, so this budget is processed by this committee. So Honourable Minister, give cooperation to the Honourable colleagues, and Honourable Karwanga and your team, I will need that report on Tuesday when the Minister is also, the facts you found on ground as our own committee. So do that on Monday, then on Tuesday we shall have our reports. I want us to debate this issue, we see where the problem is. I want us as Parliament to play our role of ensuring money is provided. Then if you are having any issues of accountability or what, those ones we also have people who play their role and they again end up here. Because it's a shame. It's a really big shame. So we don't want excuses of saying, we don't have money, we don't. Because even if you are to blame management, if management has no money, what will you do? We want to give you capacity. And after then we shall see a way of engaging the budget committee and the Minister of Finance to ensure KCCA is very well facilitated on the matter. Honorable colleagues, I put a question that a report of the Committee on Physical Infrastructure on the budget estimates and ministerial policy statements for the Minister of Works and Transport and Minister of Housing and Urban Development for financial year 2023-2024 be adopted. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay. The ayes have it. The statement is referred, the report is referred to the Committee on Budget for harmonization, consolidation, and then they will report back here. Honorable colleagues, our Muslim brothers and sisters have gone through a very important month. They are coming towards the last days. You know, they say the most important days are the last 19 days. And Ramadan, this is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, and a very, very critical pillar in Islam, where they care about their neighbors. They are very compassionate. They are, you know. So this is the time. If you have a problem, it's a time to befriend a Muslim brother or sister. they will help you. Yeah, but some of us have tried to really read a bit about it and how one can benefit from it. You find it cuts across religion, and we get very, very valuable lessons from our Muslim brothers and sisters, especially during this month. So we wish you a very happy Ramadan, honorable colleagues, and a very happy Eid, and see you Tuesday. House adjourned to Tuesday at 2 p.m.
UBC, inspiring Uganda. Pick of the day on UBC. Was